Shalom family, this is Grammy Yah. Have you ever came home from work and just too tired to cook, or you just been busy all day in the garden or whatever you do that keeps a lot of your time from coming home to cook or to coming in from outdoors to cook? How about canning a pot roast meal in a jar? Yes, today we will be canning pot roast meal in a jar. All right, you guys, this took a lot of preparation, but it's going to be worth it, okay? So today you will need a big bowl. I have this big bowl. What I did was I started out with 3 pounds of chuck roast. It came all together. I cut it up into 1-inch pieces, all right? And this is totally optional. I let it marinate in red dry wine for about 2 or 3 hours, but you don't have to. That's totally optional. Or you can do red wine vinegar, totally optional. But I did the red wine, the dry red wine, for about a couple of hours, okay? So I have my roast here. I have 12 cups of potatoes. Actually, this is the size that I have. And this is a 5-pound bag. I have 4 cups of celery, just chopped or sliced. Onions, 4 cups, chopped. And 4 cups of carrots, chopped. I have my beef broth here. I use the Better Than bouillon. This is so good, and this is called roasted beef base. So you can use Better Than bouillon. You can make it as robust as you want, or you can just make it very, very a faint of beef flavoring. And the instructions are on the jar. So I have 2 quarts here. I'm not for sure if I'm going to need 2 quarts or I'm going to need more, but I will definitely put the recipe of everything I use, the measurements, and I will leave it in the description box. I will be using onion powder, garlic powder, Himalayan sea salt, pink sea salt, and I'll be using some minced garlic and maybe 2 teaspoons. This is all I have. And that's it. So we're going to need a funnel, the jar lifter, debubbler, and measuring spoons. All right? So let's get started. Make sure you can see me. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add everything in this bowl except my seasonings. All right? So I'm going to start with the potatoes. Throw in my chuck roast. My carrots. And you guys know me. When I crank up my canner, I don't want to crank up my canner for 3 or 4 jars. And we will be using pint-sized jars today because we are having a meal in a jar. And we are using the wide mouth pint-sized jars, okay? Okay, that's my celery. So I have my potatoes, my meat, my beef, my celery, my carrots, and now my onions. This is a lot of food, you guys. But hey, I have no idea how many pints it's going to give me, but I have 2 canners. So I just want to stir this all in. Matter of fact, I'm going to stir in my garlic, my minced garlic, about 2 teaspoons. You can add more or you can add less. It all depends on you. I'm just doing 2 because I didn't realize I was out. This is all I have. All right, so let me get this all incorporated because we're going to drop, this is a big bowl, we're going to drop all this inside of our jars. Let me get this all stirred up and evenly spread it out, and I'll bring you back. All right, I have all of my vegetables and my meat thoroughly mixed. It's mixed very well. So let me just show you the size of my potatoes. You know, they're not really small, because this is going to have to go for 75 minutes. So I didn't want my potatoes to be mushy. So they are a nice size. And if you don't want to do the better than bouillon, I did pull out. You can just go ahead and buy a carton or two of beef broth from your local grocery store. All right, so like I said, the hardest part of this is just getting everything prepped. And then after you get everything prepped, it's easy, but it is so worth it. A pot roast meal in a jar. Here we go. Oh, you know what I want to do? Okay, I already have some in here. But what I want to do is put my seasons in first. But that's fine. This is fine. Because, you know, all this powder season, sometimes the powder comes up in your face. So I will be using thyme. 1/8. Just 1/8 of a teaspoon of thyme. Because thyme is kind of overpowering. And then I'm going to use, it's better to put it in an empty jar, but it's fine. I'm going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. If you need more salt, you can always add it. And I will add garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. That's 1 teaspoon. Yeah. Of garlic powder. Okay. So here we go. Because I want to put it in first, because if you put it on top, when you go to pour your broth, some of the powder and some of the liquid comes up and get on your rim of your jar. So here we go. So let me finish loading this jar up. We are looking for a 1-inch headspace, and you can just tap the bottom, and that should do it. Second jar, 1-inch headspace. Tap the bottom, you see none of that powder came up. 1-inch headspace. There we go. Maybe I need to add just a tad more in here. Let's see. Okay, 1-inch headspace. Now we're going to add our broth. We need 1-inch headspace with our beef broth, okay? Some people call it beef stock. There we go. Now we will debubble. We're going to get these air pockets out. And a lot of times when you get the air pockets out, you lose your 1-inch headspace. But that's fine. We're just going to fill it back up to the 1-inch headspace. Okay? Okay, remember, if I show you the size of the potatoes, you know, I don't want my potatoes too small. So I did put them in like nice size chunks. They're nice size chunks. Because this got to go for 75 minutes because we have meat in here. And I didn't want my potatoes to break down too much. Okay? So we got that debubble. We got our seasonings in. We need to bring this back up to a 1-inch headspace. 1-inch headspace. Because we got to get those air pockets out. And there we go. So get my paper towel and vinegar. We need to clean off our rims. Because some of the meat may have gotten on it. Some of the seasonings may have gotten on it. And while you clean it off, just fill it and make sure that there's no nicks and cracks on the rims of your jars. because if there is, your jars will not seal. Okay, so we want perfect jars. And there we go. Lid, ring, fingertip tight. Lid, ring, fingertip tight. And look, voila. So let me get the rest of this in the jar, and I'll come back to let you know how many jars I got, and I'll bring you back. All right, family, I wind up with 20 pint-sized jars. Yes, so if you don't want 20 pint-sized jars, just half the recipe, all right? But I have 20, but my canner only holds, well, not only, my canner holds 18. So I have 2 left. So that's no problem. What I'm gonna do, I will put these in the refrigerator for tomorrow, and I will crank up my canner because I have some beans that I need to can. So everything is just fine. So now I have my 18 jars of pot roast meal in a jar. I'm gonna throw in my vinegar, about 2 tablespoons of vinegar, because I have hard water, right? So, gonna make sure my canner is in the middle of my eye. I have a Presto 23 quart canner. So with the Presto 23 quart canner, the vent pipe right there, you have to make sure you can see straight through. Make sure this button right here go up and down. I believe it's called an air vent. And you just hold it and you try to turn it. You can't turn it, that's good, because you want to have that tight. You want to make sure your rubber gasket is up in there nice and snug. Make sure your pressure gauge is tight. Now we're just going to close the lid up. So let me tell you, my jars are room temperature. That means my water is room temperature, okay? So now that I have everything at room temperature, I will turn my heat on high, all right? And this vent pipe right here, once this vent pipe starts to shoot steam steady for 10 minutes, I'll bring you back. I've had a steady stream coming out of my vent pipe for 10 minutes steady. My button has popped up, my canner is locked. Now I need 10 pounds of pressure. This needs to reach 10. Once it reaches 10, I'll bring you back. But if you don't know your elevation, just Google it. For my elevation, I need 10. I am at 10 pounds of pressure. I will now dial my heat back just a tad. I will set my timer for 75 minutes. I have pint jars and I have meat in them. I will let this process, and once it finishes processing, it will come down from pressure, and that button right there will drop to let me know that my canner is safe to open. All right, fam, it's been about 15 to 20 minutes. I'm getting ready to open up my canner. But I was thinking, I did not show you guys how to cut up onions and carrots and stuff, because I'm thinking that everybody knows how to chop onions. So if that's a problem, let me know if you need me to show you how to cut onions and carrots and celery. Okay, here we go. Take off my weight regulator, unscrew my top, and I'm gonna lift it up and put it down away from me. Lots of steam, you guys. Even though it's been 15 to 20 minutes, lots of steam. But I did, smells so good. But I did hear a couple of jars pinging already. All right, so this time I'm gonna lift it up and take it to the sink away from me. Here we go. I have 16 jars in here. I'm not gonna bore you taking out all 16 jars. They're pinging already. I'm gonna take out some so you can see. That's one. Here's another. And it smells so good in here. So I'm going to take out the rest of these 14 and I'll bring you back. Voila. 16 pot roast meals in a jar. These are 16 meals, you guys. So you can just, when you come home from work, you can just open it up. You can pour it over some rice. Bam, you hear that? Yes, so easy. So this is what's really fast food is all about. Only thing you got to do is open up a jar, warm it up, throw it over some noodles, some rice, what have you, and dinner is done. If you like this video, please hit like, share, and subscribe. I love you guys. Y'all know I do. But guess what? I love the Most High more. Shalom.